All right, is everyone ready? Okay. I'd like to start this regular meeting of the Old Lyme Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission. Today is Tuesday, September 23rd. It's 6 p.m. and we're meeting in the main meeting room at Town Hall. First of all, I know that there's some interest in a couple matters, so I would like to add 2 items to the agenda under new business. The first to be a report from CEO Eric Knapp about some concerns about application we had granted for a temporary road to the cemetery. And then the second thing being public comment, just in general for any other issues that might be raised. Do I have a second?
A second.
Okay, Tom or John. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, everyone's in favor. So the motion passes. So we'll start with new business. Item number 1 on the agenda is application 25-28 of 43-2 Saunders Hollow Road for Uric Development LLC, an application to build a new single-family residence. Is anyone here from that? Hello.
Where do you want me?
Right in the middle is fine.
Okay. You need the map or?
A map would be great.
Sure.
Yes.
It's Everett Development too. I think there was a misspelling on
the agenda.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Can you introduce yourself for the record?
Mike Zarotny with Everett Development LLC. I'm property owner and applicant for this lot, new single family residence. The proposal, I think you all have copies of the maps. The majority of the house septic grading is outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. The driveway entrance here comes through it. There'll be some minor grading and filling there. It was cut in years ago. There was some clearing there. So if you do a site walk, you will see that.
So we did discuss a site walk date for
Yep.
the 29th, which is right, the 29th, next Monday.
Okay.
And 5 o'clock. Does that work for you to have us on the property?
Yeah. What do you need staked or flagged?
Flagged for the 100-foot setback for the wetlands review would be great.
Okay.
Or the wetlands themselves.
Right. Any house.
And we're gonna be able to see where the driveway is.
Yeah, it's already actually in.
Driveway.
It's in already. So we could walk it. You could see the grade. It just kind of like, it's very steep there. So it just kind of jumps up. And that's the majority of the filling right there to make the driveway work. So the grade isn't too steep.
And the house is outside of review area. So
Yeah, the house
don't worry
is,
about that house.
the house septic, everything else, well, is outside of the review. I try to keep it outside of that. There were test pits done many years ago and they were all within the review area. I think actually some of them were actually down in here, but we moved it, got it away, higher, drier. So. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you.
All right.
And next Monday.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to new business item number 2, which is application 25-29 for 17 Boggy Hill Road, the Old Lyme Land Trust, for the application to replace a bridge across the stream on a trail. Is anyone here from that application? Hello, ma'am.
I think you have the application right. So this is land trust property that has an old bridge on it right now and a little bit of wetland. There's some extensive boardwalks that were done by the Eagle Scouts about 2 or 3 years ago that you guys permitted for that. This is just another bridge that's, call it a bridge, but it's like a little walkway. So that location, it's needing a new solution and also a little bit of boardwalk. And we also, the very next item is the same kind of thing for so on Sill Lane for the Hoffman Preserve, which again, there's a split log that when you step on it, one piece goes down and you walk across it. And we would like to secure it with a 3x8 planks, pair of those. So.
Great. Okay. And so does next Monday work for you for site walks?
Yeah, what time?
So it would be 5:15 and 5:30, respectively at the sites.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's good.
Okay.
Gotta check.
Sounds good. If there's any issues, you can contact Eric and we can figure out what to do from there.
We're also asking if we could waive the fee, it being land trust property that's, it serves the town, it's not private property. But it is private, but it's public to the public use.
Right, right. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And so just for the record, we were also able to discuss the next item under new business, number 3, application 25-30 for 95-1 Sill Lane, again with the Old Lyme Land Trust as the applicant, and this was an application to replace a bridge across a stream on a trail. Thank you. We look forward to being out there on Monday. All right, any questions for anybody? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the item that had been added to the agenda, which is a report from CEO Eric Knapp about the concerns regarding the temporary road for the cemetery.
As you folks may recall, you've had not one but 2 different applications in connection with a temporary roadway leading from library to the back end of the cemetery. This was in connection with a proposed possible bridge replacement because they could not get in from McCurdy and they did another way in. You folks have done a site walk of that location. Late last week, neighbors sort of realized what was going to happen, had not previously been aware, and started asking a lot of questions regarding the town's approval process for that temporary road. It does not involve any zoning approvals. The only sort of point of contact the town had was the wetlands applications that you guys dealt with. And again, I have tried to explain to the neighbors that I understand they had concerns about traffic. The Wetlands Commission is really limited in its scope just to the wetlands on the site. And my recollection from your guys walking of the site was you did not see any significant impacts at that time, and therefore you did not hold a public hearing. Again, the public comment, as I've heard it, is that they would have liked the opportunity to be heard. Again, that did not happen, but at this point, you guys made a decision back in April. The decision was properly published, has not been appealed, so the permit remains in place and at this point is valid going forward. But I did want to relate to you that there's been a lot of talk from the neighbors regarding how the process played out and the fact that they did not get the opportunity to be heard on the subject.
Thank you, Eric. So now I will open up the meeting to public comment. So if you wish to make a comment, please state your name and address for the record. If you could speak up clearly, that would be wonderful. We do have recording devices up here, and you can feel free to raise your hand and I will point at you and welcome you up. Yes, sir.
My name is Bill Pollan. I live on 6 Duns Lane, which is a tributary off from Library Lane. And I am one of the many residents in the area that Eric is referring to. My public comments here this evening deal with the application that the homeowner of number 5 put in for the temporary road, as well as the permit that you folks approved on the 22nd of May, as I recall. My first question was with the application that the homeowner put in and the text on that application. As I read it, the application is for a $50,000 construction project. That is what the application says is the cost of this. It's a construction project over a wetland. Okay. It involves potential drainage construction. I know from talking with the Cemetery Association that will include also a gated entrance to prevent entrance into the cemetery. So there are elements of construction in here. I was very surprised. I know I was not surprised that the permitting fees for that project were waived. Okay, for number 5, a private residence. But what I was a little concerned about in the processing of that was the zoning compliance application. I did not find one on file when I checked the applicant's file upstairs in the zoning office. It is my understanding, when I read the town website, that any business that comes before any of the land use boards requires a zoning compliance application and the fees that pay for that. If there is one, it's not on file. I felt that not having that violated due process. That might have opened the conversation up with the building department because it's a building project. Might have opened the conversation with the zoning department because I believe that we're going close to boundaries of other properties. So that is one of my concerns. The other concern deals with the applicant, and it deals with the item dealing with an explanation of alternatives to going across the wetland for the proposed bridge project repairs in the cemetery. The description of what is on the application does not answer the question of what the alternatives were. It simply says it's the only private property adjacent to the cemetery. But that's not the question. The question should be, were there any other alternatives than going through that wetland, i.e. constructing a temporary bridge, as one example. I'm not an engineer. I'm just trying to ask reasonable questions. I see nothing in the meeting minutes that I read on the 22nd that addresses that issue. Concerning the comments that Eric made about a public hearing. I believe that this is a privately funded project, but with significant public interest. That is the safety of the residents on Library Lane. I believe very strongly that it's some agency in this town, before they give approval, should hold a public hearing because of the private interest we have here. I do know from various emails that I've had, some of you had received those, that there is a lot of concern and a lot of misinformation about this application from many residents. On Monday of this past week, I received a phone call from the president of the Duck River, the vice president of the Duck River Cemetery. His name is Ed Knapp. Quite upset about what he had heard about my opposition to the bridge project. I have no problem with the bridge project. I walk there every day. I think it's a great project. I am simply dealing with the application and the permit approval going through the wetlands. Okay. In our conversation, Ed asked me to meet him at the cemetery that same morning at 10 o'clock, which I did. He asked me what I felt might resolve some of these issues with the temporary bridge. I said there were many, but I said one issue that I have heard from the various neighbors was there was no date certain as when this temporary road will be remediated. They say it will be, but a temporary road could last for 10 years. I told Ed that I believe that if you would reach out to whatever agency you have to get that stipulation in the application with a date certain, such as X amount of months after the completion of the bridge, that the temporary road will be remediated. That might go a long way to resolving some of the issues that the various homeowners have. I'm not here speaking for all the owners. I am here simply telling you what I have heard. I strongly suggest that because this agency, as I am told it, was the only agency required for this permit. There was no, Mr. Knapp, a zoning enforcement officer, told me even though this is a $50,000 construction project, that there was no need for the building to get involved, no need for zoning to get involved, only inland wetlands. Eric knows I disagree with him, but he's the zoning enforcement officer. I strongly suggest that you folks do whatever in your power to hold a public meeting and hear what the residents have had, because this project is in the public interest, even though it is a private project. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Anybody else want to make a comment? Yes, come on up, ma'am.
Christina Gatoka, 25 Library Lane. However, our property extends up to Elm Street. And one of the things I'm concerned about is the road narrows. It's not as wide as it is on Elm Street. So really only one vehicle can possibly pass. But my biggest concern is for the children on our street. We have lots of youngsters, not yet even in school, who play. And they're running out to the street, if they're not being monitored well by their parents, it's going to be a problem. And I know right now from Library Lane onto Elm Street, we have problems all the time with people making a right turn onto that road and then having to creep out onto Library Lane from Elm Street to make a left-hand turn. So increasing traffic in that area is going to be a problem. Now, if this road is only temporary, and we have a starting and a deadline, then perhaps some things can be resolved with the neighborhood being more cautious. But the people coming who are not in the neighborhood are going to make a turn and very easily could have a problem with a youngster running out in the street. So the width of the road is a problem just to start with. And I'd like to see the town maybe monitor it a little bit more before the road goes in. Now, if I understand, this is, I guess, somewhat a temporary road while the bridge within the cemetery is being repaired. Is that
Yes.
correct? And do we have a timeline for which that bridge will start to be repaired and an end point?
The permit is valid for 5 years.
I can tell you informally that we understand that the project will not be starting until 2027. I understand, again, this is informally, that it will just be a period of several months when the bridge is being repaired. So from start to finish, I would expect it to be no more than about 6 months, but that is not required by the permit. It is simply my understanding and talking with Dr. Pin regarding the situation.
So, but you are saying that it is a temporary, not
Absolutely.
forever.
It has a start date, it has an end date, and there was a remediation proposal built right into the application that it would be remediated upon completion.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'm a resident of Library Lane. My concern is
Can you say
Library
your
Lane.
name for the record,
Oh,
please?
Ann Richards.
Thank you.
Sorry, 10 Library Lane. I don't know how much time any of you have spent on Library Lane. Library Lane has a massive problem with flooding in the winter. So we have the Duck River, and that river floods and you can't get through. So you're asking to put in a temporary road so trucks or whatever can get through, maybe in the winter, whatever the timeline is. It's an issue. I mean, there's major issues on that road, along with traffic and kids and whatever. So adding any kind of additional traffic on that road to a temporary road is horrendous to us. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'm Gary Day Harsh, 31 Library Lane, and I guess this temporary access is through my driveway. So I was a little bit troubled that I really hadn't heard much about the project other than initial contact by Mr. Pinn to say they wanted to do that and would we be willing to cooperate? And I said we would be once I know all the facts. So I still don't have all the facts, but I did speak to Mr. Pinn today and he assured me that my concerns would be addressed. My concerns were, I have a culvert that goes on my driveway that I want to make sure their engineer makes sure that that culvert is okay for the traffic that's proposed. We'd have to work out an agreement to do this. There would have to be a waiver of liability and insurance posted for anything that might happen on my property after use of this. I was looking for assurance that originally when it was proposed to me, it would be so that they could continue to bury people during the construction of the bridge. And I'm okay with that. I'm really not okay with everybody that goes to the cemetery now just to walk their dog. I don't want those people necessarily driving up my driveway or walking down my driveway. You know, that wasn't the intent that I thought. So those were my concerns. I also wanted to make sure it was temporary and that when it was over, and he assured me that it would be only a few months of construction, that when it was over, everything was restored to the way it is now. So I have yet to see a plan on what's proposed. And like I said, I want to cooperate. I think it's something that I understand why it's necessary, but I certainly want all my concerns addressed before I'll even agree. I think I hold the key to this happening because it's on my property. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments? And to be clear, the comments don't have to be limited to the matter of at Library Lane. I was just made aware that there might be another concern lingering. All right. All right, seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Is there any discussion that you all want to have?
The traffic concerns would best be taken up with the selectman's office, I guess. I don't think
Do
there's
we
really.
have a traffic authority here in town? We have somebody who might be able to address this, but as previously noted, the Wetlands Commission is ill-equipped to deal with traffic issues. It's really not within your parameters. So had this been brought to your attention as a traffic issue before, there would be really not much you would have been able to do about it at the time even. So.
Okay, well, I want to thank everyone for coming out and voicing your concerns. I hope, sir, that with your application and working with the cemetery, that your discussions will be fruitful. But at this time, we will move on. Okay. All right, so moving on to the next item, which is executive session for the discussion of pending litigation at 308-1 Mile Creek Road.
So we need a motion
To open it.
to move into executive session on the record and then get everybody out, then we can talk and then move back out.
All right, I'll make a motion to move into executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Tom. All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes. All right, for executive session, it would just be us at this juncture. Do you, yeah. So everyone out. Sorry. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Welcome back. All right. Okay. I'm gonna start up again on old business. Item number 1 is application 25-26 for 7 Thomas Waite Drive. Ben Roche is the applicant, and this is an application to build a new home for a family and guest house for landowners. Good evening.
I'm Jason Never Got Consulting. This is Roger Never Got Consulting. Okay, so this application relates to 7 Thomas Waite Drive, and it's for a new home construction. This lot is one of 10 lots in the subdivision that was approved in 1988. And so I think it might be the last lot out there that hasn't been developed. What's interesting when you look at the 88 subdivision map, it shows the wetland boundary. And then as far as the upland review area is concerned, it shows a 50-foot and a 100-foot. And I haven't been able to find out why that was, unless there was transitioning at that point from 50 to 100, like a lot of commissions did. But anyway, so the 50 shows on there. But in our case, in this zone, which is RU 80, there's a 50-foot front setback, which is pretty substantial. So that pushes the house back away from the road. Now we've got the house up as far in the front as we can and still respect that 50-foot setback. So the shaded area back here are the wetlands. And these blocks of gray are the proposed house. So we've got the house about right up against the front setback. We can't move it any far front. And so we're kind of limited in terms of separation distance from the wetland. Now, there's no activity in the wetland. In fact, there's no activity within 50 feet of the wetland. But in terms of the upland review zone for the 100-foot, a portion of the house, which would be the south section of the house, north is straight up. This is 1 inch equals 20 scale. That part of the house is about 12 feet into the upland review area. And then part of the patio, as you go further north, is also in the upland review area, but it's kind of minimal, and we don't really have an option to avoid that. So the house is it's a long house and road slopes. So in order to address that and minimize disturbance, the architect has come up with a stepped house. So the house actually, finished floor is actually dropped as you go from south, which is the top of the hill, and you head north. The house drops. I think the total drop is something like 3 feet. But what it does is it dramatically reduces the amount of grading and disturbance that's required. So for instance, on this lot, our average fill is about 1.5 feet, and our average cut is about 2 feet. And maximum cut and fill, I think, is about 3 or 4 feet. So, there's minimal disturbance in that respect. The septic system is outside the upland review zone 100%. That was tested and reviewed by the health district. They're currently reviewing the septic system design plan. And that's about the limit of the activity. We've got what I would say is minor encroachment into the upland review area. What helps is this house is long and narrow, it's wider. I mean, we still need the same footprint because we need the living space and the square footage. This is by the way, a single family residence with an attached guest house. So that's why it's a little bigger than your normal house. So this area down here is the guest house, and the northern part of the property is the main residence. The applicant and his wife live there. And the parents, the wife's parents, will occupy the guest house temporarily, periodically seasonally when they come back to the state. So I mean, it's perfect. They could have their whole family So, that's the proposal. I think we've tried to limit the disturbance on this property. Any question?
Okay.
No, I think the house has been well designed for the footprint and the setbacks, and I know there's some deed requirements also, so I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Seeing none, motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right. Moving on to old business item number 2, which is for 308-1 Mile Creek Road for a status violation update.
Okay, again, we did have the executive session. To my knowledge, the site remains in compliance, so there's no new action to be taken as far as that goes. I don't know if you have anything to add. Mr.
I
Chairman?
couldn't hear you, so that's what.
You can sit at the table if you want.
Again, what I was saying was that we did have the executive session a few minutes ago. To my knowledge, there is no new activity that is taking place regarding the previous violation of the fact that you remedy it. It remains, to my knowledge, still in conformance. Again, you did take pictures of the hay bales and other things that were being put on the northern end there. And as long as those are being maintained, I think that the site remains in compliance with the wetlands regulations. Do you have anything you'd like to?
No, we haven't done anything there.
And again, we did the executive session earlier. I have nothing further to add on the record regarding that session here. So that's pretty much that situation.
You're free to
You're
go.
next if you want.
That's what I was wondering. Why was saying what? All right, Ron's waiting for the record.
I'll move on to item number 3 under old business, which is application 25-24 at 308-1 Mile Creek Road for the application for a spillway pipe replacement.
So what was asked at the last meeting was the location of where the work is being done. In this view this is the existing pipe that's going across the road. And as you cross the road, there's a culvert pipe that's in here coming from this pond and it's exiting. So I wanted to lay out that area of where the proposed check dams would be. And then these are the check dams for the requests, which show the elevation of each one of the check dams. We'll start from the outlet pipe that was existing. If you look to the left side of your page, 17.1 was the existing outlet elevation. And the existing elevations on the bottom, if you see, if it says outlet existing, each one of these grades, it goes up 1/10 as it heads to the pond today currently, until you get to the beaver dam, which is the yellow on the right side. That beaver dam is approximately about 1.5 feet higher. And the existing excavation from the water is about 9/10 lower than what used to be the pipe elevation. So what's happening is the water's coming around the pipe and it's washing the sand into the wetlands. So these are today's current photos. This is the outlet pipe today. And this is coming out of the outlet, and that's what's washing in. So by putting these check dams in and the riprap stone, we'll be able to create, as you know, from where the beaver dam is, the water would be about 5/10 higher than what it is, 5 to 8/10 higher than it is currently today. And that's what this photo shows. It shows the old water line on the rocks. The existing out there, the perimeter is around 20, and we'd be bringing it up to about 18.8. So there'd be about a 12-inch freeboard plus or minus around the outside of the pond. So we're just basically elevating the water in the pond for the animals. And then as it would, if you can look right to left going out of the ponds, the water would have an opportunity to come off of the high, the first one, drop into the second one, it would settle. drop into the third one, settle, and then it would go into the wetlands. So there'd be an opportunity as it came over each one of them to drop and settle in each one of them, which has never been done. It would hit the pipe and go. In this design, it allows it any water that's going from those ponds, which is basically clean water. There's really no silt in those, and we have no intention to use those for silt ponds. So that's just allowing an outlet without it washing. We'd line both sides of that with all riprap stone. There's crushed stone, round stone that's there. We'd line both sides of that. That it's basically a glorified trench. What we would line it with stone that if there was ever any heavy water that would go in there, the sides would be protected so it wouldn't wash into the wetlands. These photos show the old elevations of the rocks. You can see on the rocks where the water lines were. So we try to get that water back in and elevated. That's all we're trying to do with this, is just get the water back into those ponds.
Thanks, Ron.
Sure.
Any questions or discussion?
I mean, I'd like to hear Eric's impression.
When we were here last month, you had asked me to sort of run by what Mr. Sweeney was giving us then to our engineer, who said he did not have enough information to make any sort of review of it. I am just seeing this now. I don't know what an engineer would make of it. It's not really an engineered plan. It's, I guess, a little bit better than what we were seeing last month, but I don't know if it works. I don't know anything about it, and it has not been reviewed. So I would request that the commission give me the opportunity to have this reviewed by our engineer, just so that we have some sense as to what we're looking at. Because again, I have many talents. Being an engineer is not one of them. So I can't evaluate this on the merits of whether it works or not, and I'd like somebody else to be able to do that.
So the only thing that I've noticed is on my previous application, the engineer wanted an engineer, and I made it clear there's no engineer. That beaver dam can stay there, and if the Mother Nature takes it away, it can wash the rest of that trench into the wetlands. So what you see will be, I'm assuming at some point, infilled, because it's got a pretty good start on it right now. By these photos you can look at, it's infilling that wetland. So I'm not paying an engineer. You've absorbed those options, attorneys, engineers. I'm not doing it. So this is the best I can do, other than what the beaver's doing. He's doing it on his own, but I wouldn't recommend that. That probably won't make a season. You get any large volume there, it's probably going to take that. Anything that comes over the top of that dam, it will wash the mud out and it'll be over.
Eric, how long do you think it would take the town engineer to review this plan?
Well, again, as Mr. Sweeney indicated, the first thing the town engineer asked for was, can I see an engineered plan? And the answer was no. So, I mean, I'm happy to show him this plan, but my suspicion is he's going to come back and say, I don't have enough information to make a decision. So I can probably get you that answer within a few days. But again, attorney, Mr. Sweeney has indicated to me that if he has to have an engineered plan, he is simply not moving forward with the application. So
is this the upland? The upstream?
Currently, that's today.
That's the upstream
So
ponds.
The reason, yeah,
And
upstream, yeah.
This is the downstream.
No, all these are up.
Okay, so how much is this from a beaver and how much is from no rain? I mean, I know these are low.
So the beaver's only built to that elevation.
Okay.
So that's the top of the dam. This is downstream of the dam. So the beaver dam is right here, right around right where you see that X mark. And then all this is down gradient of that. So these check dams would start at that beaver dam, the highest one. And then, I split the elevation of the check dam. So as you go down that gradient, it'll fill that second one, fill the second one, and then the third one, it'll go out at there's an existing pipe there. It would go out at that same existing pipe as it's been going out there for X amount of years. But there's no volume control here, because when it goes over a check dam, it just flows over the top of the check dam. So there's really no engineering involved in a check dam because there used to be two pipes there and now it just flows over the top. And we feel like the other thing too with not having a pipe is hopefully the beaver doesn't have a place to build a dam. So the check dams might actually do a better job than if you ever restored the pipe, then you have to have means of keeping the pipe clean. And that's, you guys witnessed that when you were out there, they plugged it solid.
So the water dropped because the pipes washed out, the water washed around the pipes, correct?
All right, well, I mean, I think we have to at least give the engineer a chance to look at it, so I'll make a motion to table this until next meeting.
So
One thing I think they would need to know is how wide, like what the cross section of the trench would be, like, or basically the drainage trench. So how wide would it be at the bottom and how wide would it be at the top?
all I'm gonna do is lay the stone in that bottom. I'm not touching what's there. I'm just gonna lace it with stone. It had two pipes in the middle of it before. I mean, that's probably roughly, 15 feet wide at the top and 8 or 10 feet wide at the bottom. It varies, as you go down through there, but there's no excavation.
Okay.
We don't want to excavate it. All we want to do is lay it in there so that the water can pass through there. All we're trying to accomplish is maintain a level of water in the ponds. Once that's emptied, I think you guys were there on one of the last meetings and you saw the devastation in those ponds. That was before the beaver built the dam. If that water goes out of that, it's a mess. It's an eyesore. So it's nothing more than for the animals that are in there. That's the whole idea of it. And the water's got to go. At some point, it's going to fill up and need a place to go. So we're protecting the downstream by adding the check dams.
Well, I agree with John that we should at least give the engineer the chance to look at it. And Eric, I saw you writing down the dimensions of the base.
Yeah, I wrote down what Mr. Sweeney indicated, and I'll provide that information to Jacobson's office and see what they say. If they request additional information, I will go back to Mr. Sweeney with whatever they're requesting and see what we can get. And hopefully we can gather enough information to make some sort of educated guess as to what's going on there.
And are we running up against any deadlines, Eric, for making a decision on this application?
Let's see.
So the only thing I can say that you're running up against is you're running up against the winter. There's no water running in there right now. So
Here's the thing. We're not holding public hearings. We have 65 days to act on the application, and it has been now 2 months. So we need your consent to continue the application until the next meeting.
yeah, that's fine. I'm just letting you know, what we're up against.
Right.
Yeah, because we're coming into wet season. It really is no impact to the fact that there's no water traveling through there right now. And one of the main concerns I think that the engineer had prior was how are we managing the dewater while the construction is going on?
Mhm.
There's no water. There's no water. And the other thing that I want to make note of, I'm not paying the engineer. So whatever engineer expenses that are coming out of bringing this to engineer, it's not coming out of my pocket.
Your next meeting is 21st, so I'm going to have you give me a written consent to continue to allow the hearing to allow the application to stay open through the 21st of October.
Is it the 21st or the 28th?
20. I think you're third.
We're fourth.
Fourth,
so
I'm
it's
sorry.
the 28th.
28th. I'm sorry.
You need that now?
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind giving us that now, that'd be great. I'm sorry. 28th. You're correct. I apologize.
You have lots of meetings to keep track of, Eric. I'm not going to hold you to remembering when ours is.
No, I should know. I apologize.
All right. Well, thank you for the consent, Ron. And we just want to make sure we do our due diligence. We consider all the impacts on the wetlands. And there has been considerable interest in your property. So we're trying to do everything we need to do.
I'd like to say I'm going to be here, but I might not be here for the next wetlands meeting.
Okay.
So whatever you need to do.
Well, at that point, if you're clear you're not going to be here, I'd need a further consent to the meeting following that. So why don't you just give us this consent now and then check your schedule. And if we need to get a further consent from you, we will do that. Okay?
You have a date on the next one?
The 28th of November.
Fourth Thursday of November is always Thanksgiving. So I think you go third Thursday of November.
I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
For
third,
the Tuesday.
third,
I think we still
Tuesday.
do the Tuesday.
Okay, never mind. I'm sorry.
No, no,
Then
it's fine.
Okay, it's the 25th of November. Why don't we give you an extension until 25th of November?
I won't be here, but.
Okay.
Number
Would it be in the village?
How big is your suitcase? Can I come? Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
All right. Moving on to item number 4 under old business, which is 16 Neck Road into Sharon Drive for a status violation update.
You folks should have received an email from me yesterday. It was also sent to Mr. Nocita, who is here this evening. There's been not a lot that has changed since your last site visit and your last meeting. I will say that, as observed by our chair, there were people out there who were doing work to remove the silt, except two things. One, I don't know whether they were removing the right amount of silt. And two, the silt was then picked up and moved to a different location within the upland review area, where it was when I visited yesterday. So I guess the issue at this point is I'm not sure that we've moved a lot since last month. And I just want to get a sense from the commission and I guess from Mr. Nocito as to where things are going to be going forward on this site situation. So do you have any thoughts you'd like to?
Personally, I think we've been making a lot of progress, but especially since we just got refunded. I think it was last Friday. The original loan that we had on the project, the bank kind of shut us down due to the bad publicity that we had. And last week, we were able to get funding that will allow us to finish the entire project. Versus the last bank we had was only piecemeal, house per house. As we draw down on the house, we can apply some for the roof. This way, now we have funding for what we need. So last week, I had 12 guys there digging the 6 inches of silt that was recommended by Mr. Snarsky. He had his flags there, and that's where we dug. I'm going to get him back, take a look to make sure that he's happy with it. Personally, I think we need to do a little bit more, a little bit further back, but I'll ask him when he shows up. We've been maintaining the silt sacks. Any additional silt that builds up behind the catch basins, we've taken care of that. Yesterday we finished up I don't know if you know this, the old stone house. We did the septic there and graded the entire front with topsoil and seeded it. So hopefully we get a little bit of rain. The grass will start coming up, so that'll be a lot less. Next week, we're going to attack the driveway that leads to the old house, which right now has been disturbed and has sand coming out of it. So we're going to take care of that. So little by little, we're getting there. Like I said, now that we have the funding, we can move a lot faster and start doing our work. In a couple of weeks, we're looking at, because I have to get another subcontractor besides the guy that did the original work to come back in and cut the trenches that the engineer required over the pipes and dig out what's there and replace it with actual gravel and get that work done. But I'll be in touch with you at the same time to make sure that you come out and take a look at what we're doing.
That would be great, because I will need an engineer out there to test whatever's happening to make sure it meets the requirements. Okay?
And also we'll have the funds available to pay down the engineer for what we owe them so far.
I appreciate that. Okay.
So we're moving.
I would just stress communication with Eric because when I passed the property and work was being done in the wetland review area and alerted him, the message I got back from Eric was very surprised. And right. And I think we've been very clear about that in all the meetings that we've had.
I have so much going on that it's just.
I understand.
I knew what I had to do. The boys went in there and got it done. So.
When you do good things, make sure that we know you're doing good things.
Yes, right. Because there's always a lot going on a construction project, but because of the bad press that you've gotten, you know, obviously your bank took note of that, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
Let's avoid that in the future.
Yes.
Keep communication with Eric at an all-time high.
Yes.
And then we'll wait for the next update. Hopefully more will be done now that you have
Thank you.
funding.
There's also the bond that hasn't been posted.
Again, did you receive the memo that I sent?
I did.
Okay. If you would not mind, why don't you go through that and give me a response back as to where you are with
And now that I have funding, I can
Okay, I understand.
address some of those issues.
Well, if you could give me a response back sort of line by line through
Yes.
that would be appreciated.
Will do.
Okay.
So the one thing that.
Is this where we're having the Republican Town Committee?
No, Halls Road,
Where?
83 Halls Road next to Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, it's not even in this building.
No,
Okay, sorry.
next to Dunkin' Donuts.
Thank you. Right. Okay.
So the only one other thing that I think we need to add is if we can get the building permit for the foundation, even if you got foundation only on that corner.
Well, Eric did release the hold on block 2.
Yeah, but you still owe me it has built for where that foundation is going to prove it's in the right location. So I will await that.
Yes.
And again, last I checked yesterday, the forms were still
The
in.
forms are still there. I just didn't have the manpower or the funding.
I understand.
Now that we do, those are going to be coming out.
Okay.
Which I think will make you guys feel a lot better if we put that foundation in and we start the landscaping in the outside and draw it back in. We'll start finishing that landscaping around that foundation, start coming up that hill.
Right.
Because then the work will be done. So to get that lot corner in now, that foundation in before snow flies would be important and make you feel better. Because now you've closed in that whole circle.
Yeah.
You know, for the most part. And we're gonna try to get the road finished up on the top of the road and the drainage in. So if we can get the drainage in for the road, that'll pull a lot of that water and put it where it belongs.
Mhm.
So that's the plan.
All right. Thank you very
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Moving on to item number 5 for the reading and approval of the minutes. I was not at either of these. Apologies. I know for the regular meeting, I got caught up in a hearing, so I couldn't even text you guys to let you know I wasn't coming. So for the minutes of August 26, 2025, does anyone have any edits to that? Everyone had a chance to review? Great.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular minutes.
Great.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and I'll abstain. Thank you. All right, and then for the special meeting site walk of September 11th, 2025, does anybody have any edits to those minutes?
I missed that one, so I don't think we're gonna have a quorum for that one.
You had 3.
It's us 3.
It's us the
4 of us.
I thought it was 4.
Well, Mike
You
met us at the
Yeah.
second or
The
third.
third one, but anyway, your regular membership, I think, is 5 with 3 alternates. So
Oh,
I
okay.
think you have
Okay, perfect.
a quorum of 3.
Okay,
Okay.
hopefully nobody will be
I will-
upset.
I will make a motion to accept the special meeting sidewalk minutes, September 11th. Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
And 2 abstentions, me and Tom. All right. Anything else for the good of the order? John, do you have to go to next to Dunkin' Donuts? I saw them coming in. I was like,
I
oh, no.
actually left from there and yes, I'll be going back there. Yes.
Well, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Thanks, Tom. All those in favor,
Aye.
everyone. We're adjourned. Thank you.